As we are midway through The Boys Season 4, it is a good time to look back at some of the impactful characters who have appeared in the show in the earlier season. Among the several superheroes that we have seen in the series, Soldier Boy, the Captain America parody, is easily one of the most charismatic and, like most other supes in the Boys universe, is also corrupted by the celebrity culture. The comic books portrayed him as a cowardly and disgraceful character, but the show has transformed Soldier Boy into a gallant and celebrated superhero, played by Jensen Ackles. In this video, we will explore everything there is to know about his unique physiology and understand how his superpowers function. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Soldier Boy, and how did he become a superhero? The corrupt superhero company Vought has a fabricated origin story for each one of their supes, and they had the perfect fairy tale for Soldier Boy as well. According to their version, Soldier Boy, his real name is Benjamin, was born poor and learned the true value of hard work and courage as he grew. And Benjamin was born in a rich family, where his father was a major industry mogul. But despite the wealth, Benjamin had a troubled childhood because his father was verbally abusive and never appreciated him. He was sent to a boarding school simply because his father wanted to get rid of him, and this caused a lot of abandonment issues in Benjamin. He failed in school, and his father saw him as a disappointment and declared him unworthy of the family name. In order to redeem himself, Benjamin joined the U.S. Army during the Second World War, and he soon became one of the test subjects for Dr. Frederick Vought's Compound V. After a successful testing, Benjamin became the powerful superhero Soldier Boy, and Vought made him a mascot for war propaganda. Unfortunately for him, his father still did not approve of his shortcut method, and Soldier Boy continued to be one of Vought's greatest assets for several years. He spiraled down the familiar supe journey of arrogance, disregard for common people, and substance abuse, and his behavior soon made Vought consider a replacement. In a major conspiracy during a mission, he was subdued, and the Russians took him away captive for further experimentation. How physically powerful is Soldier Boy? Writers of the show aren't messing around when they claim that Soldier Boy is only second to Homelander in terms of strength. He used to be the mightiest superhero for many years before Homelander was even born, and there are several instances of his exceptional strength. During a mission in Nicaragua, he can be seen taking down trained soldiers by the dozen, and he does so almost effortlessly without any signs of fatigue. The extent of his brute force can be understood from the statement of Mother's Milk. He states that Soldier Boy can lift and throw a full-size car. We have seen him tossing humans like playthings during fights. During his hand-to-hand encounter with Homelander, he landed a few powerful blows on the twisted supe. Homelander fought back with all his might, but there was a brief satisfying moment when Soldier Boy tossed him around like a rag doll. His superior strength is one of Soldier Boy's greatest assets, and it is what made him the best-selling superhero in the early days of Vought. Is Soldier Boy built like a tank? Exploring his insane durability. Imagine the most powerful tank that you know of in the modern world, and Soldier Boy is still more durable than the Mean Machine. To say he is built like a tank is actually an understatement, because his durability is perhaps one of the best in the business. While he was in Russian captivity for so many years, they experimented on him, and the methods were brutal and torturous enough to kill any normal human being. Only Homelander has survived somewhat similar experiments conducted on him by Vought when he was a child. Soldier Boy has been fired from various weapons at point-blank range. An oxyacetylene flame has been used to attempt to set him ablaze. Even power saws and toxic gases have been used against him, but nothing has managed to cause him any permanent damage. A good example of his durability is the fight against Homelander, where he withstands some very powerful attacks and fights back. Does Soldier Boy have impenetrable skin? We have already spoken about the incredible durability of Soldier Boy, but one of his primary features that make him so durable is his impenetrable skin. The Russians tried various things to try and break through his skin, and every attempt ended in failure. From powerful flames to the sharpest of blades and power saws, nothing worked on his skin, and we have even seen Soldier Boy withstanding explosions without a scratch. During his fight with Homelander, he had to deal with some powerful blows, but there still weren't any signs of bleeding. Another major example of how impenetrable and indestructible his skin is can be observed from the fact that his own controlled nuclear blasts do not damage his skin. Can toxins cause any damage to Soldier Boy? One of the powerful features of Soldier Boy that adds to his invincibility is how resilient he is towards harmful toxins. When he drank a roofied drink, it caused him no harm, and he simply thought of it as a strong drink. The Russians made him ingest sulfuric acid cocktails, but he was fine through the ordeal. Perhaps one of the most badass moments of Soldier Boy was when he inhaled a poisonous gas from a grenade flung at him, like he was smoking a cigarette. The only toxin that did some temporary damage to Soldier Boy was Novichok, and even this simply knocked him out briefly. There were indications that with time his body built a resistance to Novichok as well, because the toxin did not work as effectively as before the next time it was tried on him. How does Soldier Boy handle high radiation, and how does it power him? Soldier Boy could withstand high levels of radiation, way above the lethal dose for humans, and this is possibly the greatest toxin that his body could handle. The Russians exposed him to a lot of radiation during their experimentation on him, and this introduced some new developments in his body. Not only could he withstand the radiation, he also produced radiation within his body, and this was compared to that of a nuclear reactor, so you can imagine the magnitude. This turned out to be one of his superpowers, and he became a walking nuclear force during his second coming. It made him stronger than before, and because of the high levels of radiation within his body, he did not feel extreme hot or cold temperatures. The radiation levels increased when Soldier Boy was emotionally distressed, and he could also fire incredibly powerful energy blasts from his chest. He could control the magnitude of this energy blast, and it was so powerful that a regular person could be vaporized within seconds. Even soups fell before this nuclear blast, and in full flow, his energy blasts could destroy entire city blocks. Could Soldier Boy's energy blasts neutralize Compound V? Many soups who came up against Soldier Boy got obliterated by his nuclear blasts, but some others experienced a whole different outcome. The powerful soups like Kamiko and Queen Maeve realized that they had lost their superpowers after being exposed to his radioactive energy beams. They did regain their powers later after being injected with Compound V, but it is quite clear that Soldier Boy's powerful energy blasts could dismember the effects of Compound V in the system temporarily. Does Soldier Boy have regenerative abilities? It would be baffling if a soup as powerful as Soldier Boy did not have regenerative abilities. Although he is built so strong that he hardly sustains any damage, there is still a defense mechanism in place for the time when he does. His regenerative skill was first witnessed when a prolonged laser blast from Billy Butcher's heat vision caused him a cut on his cheek. The next scene that showed him recaptured and imprisoned by Grace Mallory suggested that his cut had already healed. His powerful healing ability also ensured that he always survived the worst of attacks, because even when he suffered a serious injury, he was back to his original avatar very quickly. Why doesn't Soldier Boy age while Homelander does? One of the most surprising revelations in Season 4 has been that Homelander is showing signs of aging. He is extremely anxious about his graying pubes and wrinkles, and it pushes him further down Insanity Road. However, if you remember Soldier Boy, he never showed any signs of aging. As someone who was in his mid-20s during the Second World War, he still looks the same after all these decades, and the secret might be hidden in his tragic demise plotted by Vought. After a conspiracy to get rid of him, Vought secretly used his own teammates to betray him, and he was taken in by the Russians. Although the superhero was presumed dead, and it was publicized widely by Vought, he was kept alive by the Russians who experimented on him for over 3 decades before the boys broke him free. Among the various torturous experiments performed on him, one of the constant methods was exposing him to high-level radiation. This is what stopped him from aging any further, and it is also responsible for the powerful energy blasts from his chest. However, it can also be argued that the whole ordeal simply slowed down his aging process. To a great extent, we have only seen him in action briefly, and maybe the aging effects that we see for other soups would also reflect on him in the real world, even if it is a tad bit slower. Does Soldier Boy have psychic immunity? In a world of diverse soups, one has to be on guard against the ones with psychic ability, and we have seen how deadly they can be from the likes of Mindstorm. Soldier Boy, however, had his defenses up high while he took on such psychic soup, and Mindstorm failed to take control of his mind. The same Mindstorm took seconds to influence Butcher and knock him out of the fight, so it tells something about the mental resistance of Soldier Boy. That being said, he was probably still susceptible to mental attack if he did not keep his guard up, and for this reason, chose to cover Mindstorm's eyes quickly during a fight so that he wouldn't be able to make eye contact. How do his enhanced muscles and organs help Soldier Boy? The best thing about being a soup is that nothing remains like an ordinary human anymore. Soldier Boy had enhanced muscles that never showed signs of fatigue, and also enabled him with superhuman strength and agility. His leg muscles, for instance, were so powerful that he could jump very high in the air. Even when he was involved in a fight for a long period of time, the muscles never wore out. In all probability, Soldier Boy had enhanced organs as well, and his superpowered digestive system is what allowed him to ingest all the toxins and drugs without any side effects. His heart was so efficient that he could keep up his increased activities for long periods of time, and his entire system was powerful enough to withstand radiation exposure. Did Soldier Boy's shield have special powers? You cannot be a Captain America knockoff without a shield. The boys' universe stayed true to their intention by handing a unique shield to Soldier Boy. This shield has been used very similarly to Captain America in the Marvel Universe, and the shield has proved to be a great source of defense. It is near indestructible. Even the most powerful explosions and bullet impacts saw the shield standing strong. Some of the most durable supes fell before the mighty shield, and even Homelander was taken aback when he was struck with the shield. There isn't enough information to explain why the shield is so powerful, but it is almost equivalent to the vibranium weapon used by Captain America. Exploring the complex personality of Soldier Boy. This old-school badass anti-hero's walked so that Homelander could run, and in many ways, his mannerisms and behavior were early signs of how twisted a powerful supe can become. He was portrayed as a patriotic superhero who stood for bravery, sacrifice, and real American values. But the reality was a far cry from such tall standards. He was extremely arrogant and pompous, and behaved like a spoiled superstar all the time. He started off as someone with noble intentions, but his personality soon changed, and he became more of a villain than a hero. He was abusive and petty to the other members of his supe team, Payback, and even after spending decades in Russian captivity, things did not change too much. He struggled to come to terms with the new age technology and changes in the society, but his arrogance and machismo remained the same. He might not have shell shock, but he did harbor some childhood trauma because of his rough childhood. He could be ruthless when required, and he had the skill to brush off the biggest of tragedies. All said and done, Soldier Boy was still an honorable man and stayed true to his word after committing to Billy Butcher. Is it possible for Soldier Boy to reproduce normally? Soldier Boy is technically the father of Homelander, but we all know that it was not a normal reproduction process. In his own words, Soldier Boy was simply asked to beat his meat into a cup, and the rest was taken care of by the scientists at Vought, who found an unsuspecting woman to be the birth giver. Of course, that did not turn out so well, because baby Homelander lasered his way out of her womb, and this makes us wonder if such supes can reproduce normally. Soldier Boy has been with countless individuals apart from his girlfriend, but the fact that none of them ever became pregnant raises a few questions. He doesn't come across as someone responsible enough to be safe during physical intimacy, and his offspring wouldn't be hidden because they would have certain superpowers. After the radiation exposure, his body changed considerably, and if he were to father a child in this situation, it surely wouldn't have been a normal baby. What are some of the major weaknesses of Soldier Boy? As powerful as he was, Soldier Boy still had a few chinks in his armor. The most difficult obstacle for him was psychological, because he never got over the harsh treatment of his father. This created an inferiority complex in him, and resulted in Soldier Boy acting out unnecessarily at times. He always aspired to be the center of attention, just like Homelander. And the reason behind his disregard for his teammates also came from these insecurities. He also suffered from substance abuse, and although it didn't affect his physical body, his mind was corrupted from all the drugs. Another major weakness in Soldier Boy was observed during his second coming. By now, his radiation levels made him easy to detect with a Geiger counter, and it was impossible for him to stay hidden when required. Also, it is worth noting that while his nuclear energy blast from his chest was a fatal attack, it required a brief build-up time to charge. Roughly 8 seconds were required to prepare one of the energy blasts, and it was often enough time for his enemies to pin him down prematurely. Is Soldier Boy immortal? There is a slight chance that Soldier Boy is immortal because no matter how hard everyone tried, he simply could not be killed. He faced powerful explosions, years of experimental abuse on his body, Homelander's heat vision attack, and much more. But nothing has managed to kill him. In fact, now that we have learned that he doesn't show signs of aging as well, there is a possibility that he is actually immortal. However, it should also be considered that we do not have enough data to come to any decisive conclusion on this. Simply put, Soldier Boy is nearly immortal for sure, and the only way to keep him away from harm's length is to keep him in some sort of cryogenic sleep. Can we see Soldier Boy in Season 4? If we have learned anything from watching the show for all these years, it is to expect the unexpected. However, even by these standards, the reappearance of Soldier Boy in the ongoing Season 4 seems like the far stretch. Jensen Ackles is a big name, and it would have been extremely difficult to keep his casting for the ongoing season a secret. Moreover, there doesn't seem to be much room for Soldier Boy in the current narrative because at the time he was taken out, he had antagonized both Homelander and the anti-supe team led by Butcher. If by some miracle he is brought back later in the show, expect him to be a rogue force seeking vengeance for the wrongs done to him. It is unlikely that he will ever be loyal to Vought, and he also wouldn't make the mistake of trusting Butcher and the boys one more time. As of now, the possibility of Soldier Boy making an appearance is no more than building castles in the air, and those expecting something like that should let their imaginations take a break. Do let us know in the comments below about your thoughts on Soldier Boy and his unique anatomy, and also tell us whether or not you would love to see him back in the show one more time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.